Approximately 200 years ago, there was a Jew named Mendel that lived in Romania. In time, he decided to move to Kishinev in Russia with his family. He had been close with a certain individual in Romania, and unfortunately, that relationship went south. The man started spreading a libel, slandering him in the multitude, till the point that the word got forth to the high command in Romania. What was the word? That poor Mendel had found a treasure that belonged to the Romanian government, and before anyone found out about it, decided to flee to Russia. So, what did the Romanian government do once they found out about this? They decided to go ahead and send a request from the Russian government to extradite Mendel so that they could go ahead and press charges. The Russian government said, sorry, Mendel's a full citizen and we will not extradite him. But if you'd like, you can send a delegation and we can have the litigation, the court case here in Russia. And so it was. Mendel was beside himself. He didn't know what to do. So he sought out his Rebbe, the Shpoler Zeide. He told him his whole sad story, and the Shpoler Zeide gave him advice. He said, listen, you should go ahead and put forward legislation to try and push off the case until, hopefully, God willing, it will fall on Purim. Then, I ask one thing of you. I have a young boy that's an orphan and a young girl that's an orphan that I would like to have married. If you give 300 ruble to cover the cost of the wedding, I myself will take care of the lawyer for this court case, and I assure you things will go well. Mendel was so excited right away on the spot he gave the 300 ruble and went to the courts to start putting forward the documents to try and push off the case, and thank God he was successful to make sure that the court case would fall on Purim. Came to see the Rebbe again to tell him the good news, and the Rebbe said, okay. So Mendel said, who's the lawyer? Can I meet him so that we can discuss what I should say, what's going to happen? He says, no, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. You just arrive on the day at the high court in the main city, and everything else will be just as it should. He says, okay, but how will I know who my lawyer is? He says, just look for a man who has a white hat and red gloves. Okay, if his Rebbe says so. Meanwhile, the Shpoler Zeide had a certain tradition. Each Purim, he made quite an unconventional performance. This year, it was to be a great mock trial. He told 3 of the great rabbis of the city that he hoped that they would disperse themselves amongst the crowd and they would eventually take on the role of being judges in this mock trial. A certain individual played the role of Mendel. Another one, this traitor, the one who had slandered Mendel in Romania, and another person, the prosecutor. The Shpoler Zeide himself, he would play the role of the defense lawyer. So, come Purim, Mendel was in the high court having a real court case that really decided his future. Meanwhile, the Shpoler Zeide began a great performance. The traitor, his former friend, came as a person obviously acting, with black paint all over his face, and everyone booed him as he walked in. And they began the court case. The Shpoler Zeide wrapped a handkerchief that was white around his hat, and he wore red gloves. So the witnesses stepped forward and presented what they did to the judges. The prosecutor said what he did. Meanwhile, everyone booed. Finally, it came the time for the Shpoler Zeide to go ahead and put forth his defense. He stepped up and eloquently and brilliantly dismantled every single argument that the prosecution had brought forth. In no time, he had all the court swayed to render a decision in favor of Mendel. People booed the traitor and the prosecuting attorney as they left the room. Quickly, they rubbed off the black paint, came back in, and things transitioned into a wonderful, festive meal for Purim. Come the evening time, they received a telegram from Mendel. Mendel said, you won't believe it, everything went incredibly well. I'm on my way home already. The next day, Mendel arrived. All the Hasidim were so excited to have him. Tell us everything that happened. Don't spare a single detail. He says, well, they started the case, and the traitor, my dear former friend, walked in, and the witnesses said these nonsense claims that had no grounding in reality, and it didn't look good. But next thing you know, this angelic titan of an angel of a defense attorney stepped forward, and as soon as he opened his mouth, it was a spectacle. His words were so sound, so precise, dismantling every single argument. They said, "What did he say? Don't spare a detail." He says, "Well, he started out by saying this and then this." And as he's speaking, all the Hasidim started going pale, their mouths dropping wider and wider. So Mendel had to ask, "What's up with you guys' expression right now?" They said, "Listen, we had a mock trial yesterday. And who played the role of the defense attorney? The Shpoler Zeide. Every word you're saying right now, he said in that mock trial." Mendel couldn't believe it. So, after talking to the Hasidim, he merited to have an audience with the Shpoler Zeide one-on-one. He asked the Shpoler Zeide, asked him, "So, how did it go? How do you like that lawyer I sent you?" He says, "It was incredible." He says, "Where did you find him? Who was he?" The Shpoler Zeide said, "Listen, in the merit of that 300 ruble that you gave to conduct a wedding between the two orphans, well, I called in a special favor. I got you a defense attorney from heaven itself. That was an angel in disguise that came down. And you know what? Chances are you're going to see him again when your 120 in this world comes up and you go to the heavenly court for the final judgment. And I'm sure, in honor of all the good deeds that you've done and will continue to do, he'll be as brilliant as he was today." Purim has this incredible power, an incredible power to see the righteous, even if they're in seemingly a dangerous position, to be elevated, and the wicked, even if they seem to be in a very high position, to topple down. All we need to do is look with a good eye and judge each other favorably, and the same will be true in heaven.